YouTube? If you don't know me, my name's Nicola. I'm doing this video because I keep getting asked a lot, well, how did you learn Korean? How did you learn this language by yourself? How did you do it? So here I am today with this video, and I hope you guys like it. I tried to organize myself. I have everything written down on here because I want to stay organized. So let's get to it. I've been speaking Korean or learning Korean since 2012, approximately. How I got into Korean was kind of weird. At that time, I was in seventh grade or 8th grade, and I was looking for that tap tap game app, you know, where they play the music and you go. Yeah, I was looking for that, and I wasn't able to find it, and I legit searched tap tap in the Apple Store, and the only thing that came up was these two apps, specifically more on two groups, but it was the tap tap concept, and it happened to be Girls' Generation and Super Junior. At that time, I didn't know who these people were. I didn't know what language this was, but it sounded cool, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this game and search who these people are and get this music. But due to that, I really didn't know. Looking at the characters at that time, I couldn't tell the difference between Chinese, Japanese, Korean. I just knew that it was something Asian, and that was about it. But I decided to start learning Japanese. Somehow along the way, and I can't remember much, it's been 8 years, I ended up starting to learn Korean. I changed my mind, I changed gears, and so I think that's what made it much easier for me to start learning Korean. Now, that's not saying that I learned it really fast when I first started and that it was really easy. Of course, it wasn't easy because I was learning by myself and just, you know, based on the resources that I was able to find at that time period, which was not many. First step in me learning Korean, I originally started out with C-Mile Korean. I would say, looking back at it now when I looked on YouTube, their videos are still on YouTube. I'm pretty sure that they still have their website up and running. I think those at the time were one of the very few people or companies, organizations, group of people that were putting out videos to help English speakers learn Korean. Because I don't really remember anything else being out there. And looking also at YouTube, when I searched how to learn Korean, that seems to be one of the oldest videos that I found on there. That, you know, it's succeeded other probably well-known videos just by let's say year. It says about 9 years ago. 9 years ago? So we're talking about at least 2011. So the only thing is with C-Mile Korean, but I do recommend this as a first step for people who really want to start to learn the language. If they're the beginning steps, they're interested, but they haven't started yet. The good thing with C-Mile Korean is that it teaches you the basic phrases. So it gives you enough information to how to get around in Korea. So if you're looking to go to Korea on a trip, you don't want to totally not understand everything, but you want to at least be able to get around, buy things, order things, ride the subway, C-Mile Korean is for you. It's very easy. They give you basic phrases. They break down to a certain degree the grammar, but it's enough to at least get you going and to help you be able to travel around and do stuff in Korea. I would say one of the early issues of finding resources to help me teach Korean at this time period would basically be the fact that it was very hard to find resources that were teaching people how to speak colloquially. So, you know, basic language, everyday language. Basically, the majority of the book was in the very formal language. So that's not something that you would speak colloquially or every day. You're not going to speak to everybody in the same manner. That being said, there was also resources that maybe they did teach basic formal or some informal language, not only the very formal manner of speaking. But the issue that I had with that is they only taught, the book was primarily in romanization. So romanization is basically when you convert Korean characters into English letters. But that's not something that you necessarily want to do all the time, especially when you're learning, because it can take away from you actually learning the characters. But this is my experience, and that was what I had to go through 2012, maybe a little bit of 2013. So the second step after that was I found a website called Talk to Me in Korean, or also known as TTMIK. That was excellent. I recommend it to everybody. Anybody who wants to learn Korean, whenever people ask me, hey, what did you use to learn Korean? I used talktomeinkorean.com. It is the best resource to this day, in my opinion. Good thing with Talk to Me in Korean, they have evolved a lot at the time period that I came in. So basically maybe going more so into 2013, because I was still doing C Mile, but I found Talk to Me in Korean, and at that time they had 7 levels of learning for you to go through. Now they have, I think, up to 9 levels of learning, plus additional resources such as listening opportunity, videos teaching slang or Korean culture. There's so much. And they also produce books. It's important for me to say that it's not like in the beginning I was full on going ham or actively learning Korean. That was not the case. I was in middle school. I had other priorities other than learning Korean. Learning Korean and music was cool and everything, but I still had a life. And I was also still learning Spanish in middle school, so it was hard to balance certain priorities, or just the priorities weren't there for me to learn Korean. It wasn't until I think I got to sophomore year or after freshman year, so second part of freshman year of high school, that I actually really started going hard in learning Korean. I wasn't learning it in a consistent manner. It was whenever I had time, taking notes, etc. When I actually started having good Korean friends, I think that was the click to me consistently and on a daily basis studying Korean for that following summer, just because I want to be able to communicate well, and I need to practice what I'm learning. But we'll get to that later. The good thing with TTMIK is it's very good for grammar. Of course, there's other stuff it can help you with, like listening, etc. But in terms of those levels, they're basically all grammar based. Different grammar points, subject, topic, marking particles, different ways to end the sentence, what these different endings mean in terms of how you would interpret it in English, etc. Talk to Me in Korean, best site ever. I love it. If you want to improve on your grammar and ultimately it helps you with forming sentences, this is the site for you, among the other things that it does offer. Staying focused and disciplined, and that's something really important because I did not have that in the beginning, right? That was something I had to build upon, and I had to get that motivation to actually, okay, I'm going to consistently do this. Something I'm always asked when asked about learning Korean, or when people come to me about, wow, you speak Korean so well. Do you like K-pop? Do you like K-dramas? At this time period, I really did. Although I wasn't constantly learning, I was still watching K-dramas and also listening to Korean pop. It's good to mention that K-dramas and also Korean shows are not only good entertainment, but they're also good learning resources. And a show that I would like to recommend would be Superman이 돌아왔다, or The Return of Superman. Another factor, and this goes on to my last thing, of staying focused and being motivated, was basically that I got Korean friends. And it's not to say that I didn't know any Korean people beforehand, and I did. It was a few number of people in middle school, but I did not, at that time period, I was not in that time period so focused on Korean to the point of wanting to practice with someone who's actually Korean. Practicing and putting in the work. That's hard for some people, especially depending on your personality, because sometimes you're shy, you don't want to go up to people, you don't want to practice what you know. And as a language learner, you have to learn to eventually come out of that shell. In the United States, we have a lot of Korean establishments, we have a lot of Korean grocery stores, businesses, karaoke's, etc. So if you do not know anybody or have any friends that are Korean, going to the establishments and practicing Korean is a good way. It's coming out of your shell, and can make you feel uncomfortable and just all out in your feelings. But it's a good way to come out of your shell and practice some Korean. And Koreans very much appreciate when you do speak Korean, because it's like, oh my gosh, like you learn this language. And some Koreans, they believe that Korean is hard. For those who don't want to take that route, and for those who aren't not close to any Korean community, another route that I had taken at this time period was going through a pen pal site. I still have a good amount of friends from this pen pal site that, we've been friends for, I think it's going like 7 years now. And so we still talk. But of course, like any other site, you must be careful of catfish, of scammers, of perverts. Be careful what information you put out there, and be wary of certain things, like if certain people ask certain things of you. So pen pal sites are still helpful though, because it makes you reach out to people, and it's not face to face, right? So you don't have to deal with being nervous in the moment. You just send off your little message, type it out, and then wait for someone to respond. I'm not sure how many people are using these kind of websites nowadays, but at that time period, it was good. I met some amazing people. We're still friends to this day, etc. Second, making Korean friends and practicing with them and their family. If you do know people who are Korean or have the ability to go into Korean communities, like, being involved in the Korean community and that way making friends, etc., I would say do it. And that's another good way to practice your Korean in person. I do want to emphasize, I don't think it's okay for you to go up to someone and be like, hey, you're Korean, I want to practice my Korean, etc. I think that's a little weird, because at the end of the day, it's also like assuming that person knows Korean. Especially if they're in the United States and they were born here, or if they've been raised here for a good majority of time. There's typically a high chance that a lot of them do not know Korean as well as their parents, or don't speak Korean as well as their parents, or don't speak it as often. So I don't think it's good to generalize and just go up to anybody and be like, hey, you speak Korean, or you're Korean, I want to practice my Korean. So don't do that. But if you do have Korean friends and they know that you're learning Korean, that's a good way with them to practice Korean, or to go over to their house and hang out with them and their family members to practice Korean. That's something that I did. I had certain Korean friends, and they were not raised in the States. They primarily grew up in Korea. I had them to practice with as well, but upon going to their family house, I practiced with their mom and dad, etc. And so that was a way for me to not only get some, practice in person, but I also got corrections on certain things, whether it was on language or basically on culture. So having Korean friends and being able to communicate with their family, being taken on trips with them, and being involved in the Korean community helped my listening, because you have to listen more, and it also helped improve my Korean. I hope that was helpful to you. That's my finding basis for how I learned Korean. Like, share, comment your experience. Hope you liked it, and thank you for watching this video today. Oh wait, or should I end that in Korean? Because this is the how to learn Korean series. 안녕. My heart is fighting,